YouTube. My name is Katie and welcome back to my YouTube channel after a little over a year since the last time you saw me. About that. Yeah, it's been well over a year since the last time I've even filmed for a YouTube channel, let alone post a video, and a lot has changed. A lot has happened since the last time you saw me. I got a new job, I changed the rooms for where I'm gonna be filming, and I got a nose job. If you couldn't tell already from my old videos, just look back at my old videos and you'll definitely be able to tell the difference. But yeah, so this is kind of just me casually gonna talk about my nose job experience after not filming for over a year and just pretending like nothing happened. So yeah, I don't really know. I just, not that maybe I lost a little bit of motivation. I kind of go through phases, honestly, when I start doing something new. And I'm like, when I first started, I'm like super into it. As you can tell, I was posting, you know, a decent amount of videos, not back to back, but in close proximity. And then I kind of just stopped. And I can't say I have a valid excuse. I mean, I was working in school and took a break, but yeah. So honestly, I just kind of have the motivation. So I definitely want to take advantage of the motivation that I have right now to film and definitely kind of tell you about my experience. So I got a rhinoplasty, a nose job, about 4 months ago. And the surgeon I went to is in South America, Colombia to be exact, Bogota, Colombia, the capital. And yeah, I got my surgery, yeah, May 27th of this year, so about 4 months ago now. And I am so happy. It has definitely been a wild ride these past 4 months, but honestly, no regrets. Let's be real. I have been wanting a rhinoplasty or a nose job since I was like, I don't even know, like 10 years old. I have always been so insecure about my nose. Beyond. It was, I feel like, I don't want to say it held me back from everything in life, but I do feel like when I would talk to, say, like a cute boy or even just anybody, a girl, I just feel like the first thing that they were looking at was my flaws, and my biggest flaw in my eyes was my nose. So I just felt like they could see everything, that my nose was taking over, and I would compare it to like a Mr. Potato Head nose where it looks like it's just like on there and like removable, like big and like bulky. Unfortunately, it wasn't removable, but you know what I'm saying. Bulbous tip, my profile, oh, that was like my least favorite thing was my profile. I felt like it was very round and just not cute in my eyes. So this is what it looks like now. This is the front. This is my good side. And then this is the other side. And then the bottom. So with an open rhinoplasty, my surgeon cut an incision right, I don't know if you can see, like there's maybe a little scar right underneath my nose. He opens up like the nose flap skin thing, works his magic, and then he stitched me back up. So I don't have any stitches here. I have seen a lot of people who got, you know, when they did an open rhinoplasty, they put like stitches like right underneath the nostrils, but all he did was the stitches over here, and then I guess, you know, obviously the internal stitching. It's only been 4 months, and I know I've heard, depending on how thick the nose skin is, it can take up to a year or longer, like over a year, maybe two, to fully heal and to fully see the final results. But for only being 4 months, I'm super happy. And honestly, it's the best decision I could have finally made. And yeah, like there's still some swelling here, but honestly, you know, I think it looks amazing, and I'm just very happy. I started, I think just this year in 2022, I made it a point that I wanted to get my nose done. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. I started working hard, collecting that PTO, so I, you know, collect as much as I can so I didn't have to take too many days off or month, you know, without unpaid. Yeah, I just kind of started researching, and I went on obviously Google. I would look at all the reviews, and let's be real, guys. I looked at a lot of doctors here in the US because people are always asking me, like, why did you go all the way to South America? Thinking it's risky. But honestly, if you do reviews, it's the same thing. Anyone can botch you here in the US compared to anywhere out of the country. So I did a lot of my reviews, and for like the top dog doctors or even average surgeons for the rhinoplasty here in the US that I could found that had, good reviews, I weren't gonna like butcher my face up, were like between a range from like 15K to literally like 40K. But mind you, the 40K was like in California, and it was like Dr. Paul Nassif and the show botch, so that's probably why he was that expensive. But basically that was the range. I mean, there probably no less, maybe 12K to likely 30 to 40K, depending on where the area and which doctor you're going to and how, I guess, big or famous they are. If I wanted to go that route, I would have had to wait a lot longer and save a lot more money. And I just didn't want to wait anymore. 2022 hit, and I was like, this is my year. This is gonna be the year where I change my face for the better. Not completely, but to feel more confident. And this is just the year that I wanted to stop saying, oh, I'm gonna do it, but maybe next year. No, this was the year. If you guys didn't know, I am Colombian. My dad actually lives there, so I started branching out and I started looking in Colombia. And honestly, Colombia is actually very well known for being like the country where women go to get beautiful. And so they're very well known. They have good plastic surgeons. Of course, you have to do your research because there are some that just want you for the money, especially if they know that you're American or any other country. Some people can likely try to rip you off, so definitely have to do good research on that. But I started branching out, and I looked in Bogota, the capital, and that's where I found my surgeon. My surgeon's name is Alejandro Fanaur, Dr. Alejandro Fanaur, and he's located in the capital of Colombia, Bogota, an actually very nice area. And so I started planning from here. I scheduled an online consultation. So I did, look for other doctors, and I scheduled another consultation. The consultation was, that's where you can kind of tell, because it was virtual, so I wasn't there face to face, but I got to speak to him, and I did not feel rushed. It took like almost an hour, 45 minutes. He got there on the Zoom call, introduced himself, his role, and, asked me how I was doing, and then he started from like the history basically of like rhinoplasty, the different types of rhinoplasty there are, and the type that he will be performing on me. It was just super thorough, very descriptive. He answered all my questions, and he was super patient. I mean, like the last, the other previous doctors that I've tried talking to or like did the consultations for in Colombia were super rushed, super quick, like not even 10 minutes. And I just felt like the surgeon felt super annoyed with me for having questions. But you gotta remember, ladies, this is your face. This is, any surgeon, any surgery, regardless, plastic surgery, any surgery, you gotta do your research that you're gonna make sure you're gonna have a good surgeon that's gonna care for you and protect you and be hygienic and clean and just everything. But with Dr. Alejandro Fanaur, it was like immediate. I just felt super comfortable with him, and after that consultation and the questions that I asked, I literally was like, this is my doctor. No other person is gonna lay a hand on this schnoz besides him. And I was determined from the jump. And I think that was like probably in March when I had the consultation, and in May I had my surgery. Immediately after that consultation, I booked my flight. So let me start here. Like, my surgeon says that I had to arrive a week before the surgery. After the surgery, he requires the patients to stay 20 days after. So that was a whole month. But at that point, I've already collected all the PTO. I told my boss in advance, and she approved it. So all that was settled, the flight and everything. And I got an Airbnb. I have family there, but honestly, Airbnb is so cheap there, and it was just, I wanted to be super close to his office, and his surgery center was in a very safe area, so I just wanted to be super close in case, anything were to happen, he was available and nearby. So I got an Airbnb for the whole month. On another note too, for anyone who decides to go to South America, or anywhere for that matter that isn't their home country, The last surgeon that I interviewed or had a consult with that I didn't go with, where I almost went with because I was super impatient and didn't do my thorough enough research at that point. Thankfully, my mom like put some sense into me. But this person tried to give me a contract, and in the contract it was like, even if for any reason you get COVID or, you know, something goes wrong and your blood pressure is like too low, for example, and they can't do the surgery, they're still charging you 60%, 60% of the total for just showing up not being able to do the surgery. And then when you want to reschedule in the contract, you would still then have to pay that 60% on top. So it's like either way, like in the contract was basically for the doctor to always win. The surgeon was always winning. They were going to get money somehow, some way. After I noticed the contract and I read it thoroughly, my mom read it with me too, and it was like all in his favor. So ladies, do not sign any contracts. Just a heads up. If your doctor tries to get you to sign a contract for your surgery, do not sign it. Read it thoroughly, because it's likely going to be to benefit them and not the patient itself, and protect you. So you have to always look out for yourself. Oh, another thing too, even before I get into it, the doctor wanted me to pay everything up front, virtual 25 million pesos right then and there. Basically, if I would have signed the contract like a week later, I had to pay everything in full. Before even arriving there, like anything could happen where, you know, they're gonna have my money, and if I can't get the surgery, I'm screwed. You lose your money. And was obviously the ultimate like reason why I decided not to go with him, besides his like impatience with the virtual consult. I was super disappointed. But with this doctor, he was super patient. The virtual consultation, he did not ask for anything up front, like not the total amount. They did ask for like not even half of the amount, just to kind of like keep your appointment. But everything that you would pay in full would be after you actually meet him and do your like in-person appointment visit and everything, and then that's when you would pay, and it would be like a few days before your actual surgery, which is what I did. No contract from him. And the price of the surgery for me for the open rhinoplasty, and the method that he used is like a structured open rhinoplasty, 18 million pesos if you paid in cash, which at that moment, with what I've saved and, you know, everything like that, I was able to, you know, pay 18 million pesos, which I think with the exchange rate at that time was about $4,000, 4,500. It could, you know, probably, you know, as prices, you know, as surgeons get bigger and more notable, and, you know, they kind of up their prices. So I don't know if that's going to be the price for you, for anyone, you know, who decides to consult with him. But that's what it did cost for me. So honestly, I felt just super confident in this surgeon, and I bit the bullet. I paid scheduled the appointment. I paid what I needed to keep it scheduled, did the virtual. I was booked the flight. I was ready to go. They offer, well, my surgeon, you know, he works with like different companies, like laboratory companies, because you have to do lab work, you know, before your surgery, to make sure that all your labs are normal. Your hemoglobin has to be obviously normal to make sure you're not bleeding down on the table. And I got like 3 different COVID tests. One was blood, and 2 of them were the nose ones. Thankfully, all before the surgery. So yeah, that was fun. I got a CT scan, because they have to do like a sinus and, you know, head CT scan too, you know, before the surgery, to make sure there's nothing internal going on that's wrong that maybe you don't know about, because sometimes there could be things going on internally that you don't even feel or notice, and it's better to catch it. So when, you know, you do go to the surgery, it's not like, oh, well, you know, you had a tumor and you couldn't get operated on, and then there goes your money, and then you waste a trip. And then the day came, I did the virtual, you know, the in-person appointments, spoke with him. My dad was with me, and meeting him in person, I felt even more comfortable. Like, he was just absolutely incredible. And after that in-person appointment is where I then paid the rest of the money for the surgery, and we were ready to go. And so I had to be there at around 6 a.m. Surgery was at 7 a.m. and I was out of the surgery center probably around 12:30, you know, noon-ish. So all in between that time, the nurses were great. They seemed super obviously professional and just super responsible. They knew exactly what they were doing, of course. got pre-medicated, did, you know, signed consents, things like that. And yeah, and then that's when the day happened. Got the surgery May 27th, and best day of my life. So after the surgery, he doesn't use the doctor that I went to, the surgeon that I went to. He's not like, he's definitely more modernized. There are still surgeons that will use like the old, like ancient history techniques where they're like with a hammer and a chisel basically breaking your bones. But thankfully with this doctor, as far as I know, he didn't break any bones. He was not aggressive. It was not like traumatic. And I really didn't have much bruising. I'll try to find pictures. I have a highlight on my Instagram, basically like my entire journey. But I'll try to see if I can find a way to attach them so you can see it. Honestly, like right out of the surgery, I was a little loopy, but thankfully not too nauseous. A little bit, but they gave me crackers, they gave me some tea, and overall it was okay. And then it's an ambulatory day in, day out surgery, if there's no complications. And he makes every patient pay for like an insurance type thing, where it's like if something were to happen, you have like a hospitalization insurance. So that was nice. But thankfully, nothing happened and I got to go home that day. The first day, the first 24 hours, that's when they usually say, like, if anything, like when the bruising, I think it's up to 24 hours where the bruising would like is supposed to get worse. But thankfully, I had like some bruising around my eyes. In the beginning, on the first day, I think between like after 24 hours to 48 hours, then I did start getting bruising like all of my cheeks. And of course the swelling wasn't horrible. My eyes weren't shut, thank goodness. I did get some bruising here, but they were not swollen at all to the point where I couldn't put on contacts or I couldn't see. Like, they weren't swollen shut. They were swollen, but like puffy, but definitely not like some really swelling that I've seen on other people from watching a lot of the nose job vlogs, which I did like all the time after the surgery, not before, which I would recommend. Watch your nose job vlogs, like as many as you can before and not like me after, so then you realize there could have been things that you could have purchased to be prepared, but it is what it is. Well, I was taking, which I will recommend, arnica, the tablets, like the disposable tablets. They do have like a gel, cream, things like that, but I decided to do the tablets, which is supposed to help with like bruising and swelling and some pain. In the beginning, the first 24 hours, I could actually still breathe out of my nose. There was no packing, there was no stents in there, so I was able to thankfully breathe out of my nose. And so the first 24 hours was fine, and he only prescribed me Tylenol, and an antibiotic. I can't remember the name of it, but an antibiotic just to help prevent or control any possible infections from happening. I had my cast on for the full week, and overall, it was a good experience. I really wasn't in a lot of pain. It's really not a painful surgery for me. I know some people did have pain. It's more so just very uncomfortable, because after the 24 hours were over, my nose did start to get super stuffy, which probably was the absolute worst experience of my life. And like being uncomfortable, because it just sucks where you try to sleep at night and you can't breathe. Or when I'm trying to eat, I was out of breath because I couldn't breathe out of my nose very well. Because I was just super stuffy, boogers, and you can't blow your nose for up to, at least blow your nose how you really want to. I still don't even blow my nose completely like that, like you really want to. I just took the arnica, took my Tylenol on and off. Sometimes I would take a Motrin or an Advil, but not too much because of, the bleeding, especially for the first 24 hours. The 20 days after the surgery, what I would recommend too, and what I wish I would have done, is watch a lot of those YouTube nose job vlogs, because I didn't know about the saline spray, the nasal saline spray, isotonic. I started using, I actually had to buy one while I was over there because I started watching vlogs and I didn't have any. And using the nasal spray helped a lot. To try to clean up or loosen the boogers as much as possible, and my doctor said that you can't blow your nose, but you can try to like breathe in as much as you can to, if anything, like pass the boogers on the other end. Saline spray, Q-tips, and hydrogen peroxide to kind of keep the incision clean more deftly. definitely major lifesavers to make this process not as bad. After the 20 days were over, I got to finally fly back home, and the flight, it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It really wasn't bad at all. It was a nice smooth flight. Thankfully, there was barely any turbulence. The gods knew, the lords knew, the turbulent lords knew that I was flying after a nose job. And what was really nice too is that I didn't have to do, they actually, around that time, like 2 days before I was about to leave, they actually, like, they put that law where now you don't have to get a COVID test anymore, like a PCR or rapid test, to come back to the US, which was amazing because, I mean, you can do COVID tests after a rhinoplasty, but I can't even imagine having something shoved up my nose, like deep, how they do it, touching your brain after like a fresh surgery. Like, it was just something that I definitely did not want to have to go through and was dreading, and thankfully they canceled it, so I got to avoid that. Overall, yeah, the flight was smooth. Barely any turbulence, and being up in the air, like, you know, super high, you feel like your ears pop, things like that, but nothing with my nose. It was good. The one thing that they don't tell you to, or at least, you know, if you don't do your nose job vlog researches, or I feel like even doing, you know, watching all the vlogs, not a lot of people talk about this, but my top lip was super swollen, and I could barely smile. Like, it was like that. Now it's a little bit better, like it's a little bit better, but yeah, I could barely move my top lip. I could barely talk. I felt like so frozen because, you know, I think they had to lift the nose. Obviously, I guess it like stretches your skin or something. So I didn't have much movement in my top lip. So it was like super swollen, and I just had like limited mobility, and that was super tough. Like, I couldn't even like drink from out of a straw without feeling super like tight around here. And even sometimes when I like move my lips, like in certain ways, it does feel like I'm pulling on it and it's just gonna like collapse, but obviously that's not gonna happen because it's a firmer nose than it was before. That's literally all I can smile. It's just so funny. That was definitely something that was also really annoying, and I'm still kind of like getting a little bit adjusted. I'm a lot better now, and it's been 4 months, but the top lip, I could barely smile or barely talk, or I would sound so monotone because I would be like, hi guys, yeah, I'm back, yeah. And like barely be expressive. So I'm so happy that that part has definitely gone away. I think after maybe like 2 months, like after the surgery, that this started to like loosen up, although I feel like I barely have a top lip now. Like, I've never had like these juicy lips, but I don't know, I just feel like it's a lot less than what it was, but whatever, that's fine. That has been overall my experience with my, you know, with my rhinoplasty. Honestly, ladies, going to a different country may sound scary for surgery. I mean, you know, if you're not aware of the country, thankfully I was blessed to have my father that lived there. He was my chauffeur, but I've seen a lot of people that go travel overseas, like to Turkey or to even Colombia in general. Like, to go overseas, you just have to plan very well and do your thorough research. But if you guys are ever interested, I highly recommend my surgeon. He was just absolutely incredible and so professional. Bedside manners were great, and I just felt extremely comfortable with him. Take the leap if you want to, you know, go to Colombia, buy your ticket, save that PTO, and, you know, do what you want to do. I'm all for women tweaking, you know, what are their insecurities to make themselves feel better. What I will say though, I didn't go into the surgery thinking that, oh, after the surgery I'm gonna be 100% confident walking like, sorry, my camera cut off, but what I was trying to say is, like, you know, the surgery didn't like 100% change or take away all my insecurities. I still have them. It just doesn't change your life completely, like a 180. But so I don't want people going into this thinking like this is gonna be what makes me feel 100% better, because no, it didn't take away like my shyness and my awkwardness, but it definitely makes me feel a lot better when talking to people and giving eye contact and being able to like turn my head to the side and not feel like, oh my gosh, they can see my hump, or look how bulbous my nose is. But yeah, so I didn't take away obviously like all my insecurities and you know how I feel about myself. I still do therapy. Again, my nose job didn't take the need of me doing therapy. So but it definitely increased my self-confidence, my self-esteem, and I just feel happier. I feel a lot more confident in myself, and honestly doing makeup just feels a lot funner. And I feel like, you know, I feel good with doing makeup now after my nose, even up with the 4 months post, you know, op. It still feels a little, I mean, it's still tender, so it's swollen, it's still tender on the side, so putting on makeup, like I have to be pretty careful, like around, like if I do a beauty blender, I don't even do a beauty blender on my nose, to be honest, so sometimes I like struggle blending it in completely because it is super dry. Actually, the pat, I still have like dry patches, but I have to be very careful around, you know, like being able to like blend it in, and I still do my makeup very carefully around the nose, and I'll just use a brush to try to like blend it in. But honestly, that's not a big deal, you know. Eventually, when it's like after a year, I'm sure everything will feel less tender, and then I can start banging my face with a beauty blender. But honestly, that's like the least of my worries. That was my nose job experience, and it's still an experience. So if you guys want me to kind of maybe do a little bit more updates, like a 6-month update or a 12-month update or something, I can do it, and I'll just kind of talk about, you know, the experience as it goes on. I wish I would have vlogged it beforehand, but you know, I didn't want to take so much to Columbia, like a whole camera. I don't have like a small vlogging camera. I have like a big Canon camera. So to try to take that and just update like that, like I wish I would have done it, but I didn't. So I can definitely do more updates from here on out, if anybody's interested to, you know, to get a nose job and hear a little bit about it, and I'll give you my honest opinion. Slightly uncomfortable, swelling kind of sucks, and breathing, not being able to breathe well because I was so stuffed with boogers, kind of sucked, and not my favorite part, and did give me times of feelings where I'm like, oh gosh, why did I do this surgery? After the cast reveal, after the way I saw how my nose like looked after, like right after the surgery, I was in love right away. So looking back now, it was a pretty rough recovery in being uncomfortable and breathing, but like from then to now, honestly, it's really not that bad. And for me, it hasn't been that bad. And overall, it's a pretty, from the overall reviews that I've heard from people or about their experiences, that it's really not that painful of a surgery, depending on the surgeon you go to and the type of rhinoplasty that they're doing. Do your research. A lot. Google if they have any lawsuits against them, and fly to Colombia. So this is the end result. So 4 months post-op, and honestly, the issues that I guess I could say I have now is that I can breathe. I can sleep a lot better at night, for sure. A lot better. I'm actually getting like a full night's sleep without waking up like in the middle of the night with like out of breath. So that's been really nice. I've been able to do that since I've arrived. I don't sleep with my head elevated anymore. I didn't do that after like a month and a half after my surgery, like at a 90-degree angle, because I was also super annoying. My butt was so flat by the end of the day, by the end of it. But I can sleep flat now. You know, I started that around 3 months. I'm at 4 months now. I sleep flat. I can breathe out of my nose. I've been working out hardcore with my working out, my strength training. No issues, honestly. I started strength training like I used to before, probably around, I waited a while, like around 2.5, 3 months post-op. to start back up, but obviously consult with your surgeon before doing anything. This is just from my experience and what my surgeon has told me and, you know, given me the good to go and the green light. I still get some boogers, which is a little annoying, but if I ever need to, I'll just use my saline spray. There's a bunch of different brands. Make sure it's isotonic. So hypertonic is the other one, but that's just too salty and can irritate the nose in the nasal passages. So just, you know, still using occasionally the nasal spray. Q-tips, I don't dig in there deeply, but I definitely, like, if I have a booger where I can't really fit my fingers in there anymore to try to just grab it. So Q-tips definitely help with just getting out the boogers. Yes, this is my 4-month post-op update. So let me know if you guys are interested in getting more frequent updates on just my rhinoplasty journey, and just let me know if you guys want to see any other videos. I'll be extremely happy to film some hauls, some vlogs. I feel the motivation, so I definitely want to use it while I have it, and hopefully I continue to have it because I know consistency is key to actually grow. But yeah, guys, if you have any other questions about rhinoplasty or about anything, just feel free to DM me, ask me, leave a comment below, and just yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe. Shameless little plug, but that's fine. I told my little 15 subscribers, thank you for staying true to me and hanging in there while I went on like a over a year-long hiatus. So y'all are the real MVPs, and I appreciate you. So yes, guys, thank you for listening to me, and take care. Bye.